Okay, so get this. Today we are diving into a book that's like the godfather of self-help, Covey's 7 Habits. I mean, come on, you've seen this thing everywhere and for good reason. But we're not just going to like skim the surface. We're going deep, deep down to those aha moments, those ideas that really make you rethink things. You with me?
What I find so cool about Covey is he doesn't just give you a to-do list, right? He wants to give you the tools for like real lasting change. And to do that, you got to get the why behind the what.
It all starts with this story about his son.
Right.
He was a total game changer for Covey, both as a dad and like an expert in human behavior. He's trying to connect with his son, trying everything, but just stuck.
And it wasn't just some little parenting thing. This totally forced Covey to like step back and look at his whole approach. He was stuck on those surface level solutions, never getting to the root of the problem. Like, imagine trimming a plant's leaves when it's the roots that are messed up. It's not going to thrive, right?
So we're not talking about just thinking happy thoughts here.
No way. Covey's talking about something way deeper. Paradigms. He says we all see the world through these mental maps we've built from our experiences. And just like a real map, if yours is wrong, you're never going to get to where you want, no matter how hard you try.
That map analogy is gold. Can you imagine trying to navigate Chicago with a Detroit map? Total disaster waiting to happen.
Exactly. You could give it your all, but you'd be lost. And it's the same in life. If your paradigm, that mental map, is flawed, you might be putting effort in all the wrong places. Think about a time you felt stuck even though you were working hard. Maybe it's time to check your map.
Okay, wow, I'm already feeling like I need to reevaluate some things. And this brings us to what Covey calls the character ethic versus the personality ethic. Okay, let's get philosophical.
So the character ethic, it's about building from the inside out integrity, aligning your life with your core values, like the roots of a tree. The personality ethic, on the other hand, that's all about appearances, quick fixes. Think of it like only tending to the leaves might look good for a sec, but it's not going to last.
So like someone focused on the personality ethic might be all about those self-help tips, but never deal with the real stuff holding them back.
Bingo.
And that's why so many people get stuck in this loop of trying the next new thing but never seeing real change. Covey's saying you can't just hack your way to a good life. It takes a deeper approach. You know what I mean?
Totally. Which makes me think about something else he talks about, the maturity continuum, this idea that we move through stages from dependence to independence to the big one, interdependence.
And it's not just like hopping from one to the next. Think of it as a spectrum, right? Dependence is that you take care of me feeling. Independence is all about I can do it myself. But Covey says the best, most filling way to live is through interdependence. We can do more together. Where do you see yourself on that continuum in your own life, in your relationships? Whoa, that's a great question. And it actually goes right into what we were talking about earlier with wanting stronger relationships. Carla suggests that to have healthy interdependence, you actually need a strong sense of personal independence first.
100%. Think about it. You can't fully contribute to anything, a team, a marriage, anything, if you haven't figured out yourself first. It's like they say, you can't love someone else until you love yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. But where does action come in? It can't be all about, like, looking inward, right?
Totally. That's where Covey's idea of proactivity comes in. And it's not just positive thinking. It's about owning your choices and your actions, no matter what life throws your way.
Yeah, because it's easy to sit around wishing things were different, but way harder to actually change them.
For real. And that's why he talks about this super useful tool, the circle of concern and the circle of influence. The circle of concern is all that stuff we stress about but can't really control, like the weather, politics, what other people do.
It's like that saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Exactly. But the circle of influence, that's about focusing your energy on what you can control.
Yeah.
Your choices, how you respond, your actions. Reactive people, they get stuck in that circle of concern, blaming and complaining. Proactive people, they focus on their circle of influence, asking, what can I do about this? Even when things are tough.
So it's about knowing where your power is and using it.
Yes. Instead of dwelling on what you wish you had or what you wish was different, Covey wants you to shift that energy. Ask yourself, how can I be different to make a change? Focus on your bees, not your haves.
That's such a small shift, but I can see how powerful it could be. Kind of like that other idea, the goose and the golden egg.
Oh, yeah. That one's classic for a reason. Gets right to the heart of what Covey calls the PPC balance. The golden egg is like the results, what we're all chasing. The goose is our ability to produce those results, our well-being, our skills, our relationships.
So we get so caught up chasing the next promotion, the next win, the next golden egg, that we forget about the thing that makes it all possible in the first place.
You got it. We can't keep demanding golden eggs without taking care of the goose, right? And that goes for everything. Your health, your relationships, your work. Burn yourself out chasing results. You're basically killing the goose that lays them. Have you ever experienced that? Like so focused on the golden egg that you forgot about your own goose?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I remember when I was
Yeah, we've all been there. So easy to get caught up in the next goal, and forget to take care of ourselves. Like forgetting you can't pour from an empty cup.
truth. Now, Covey goes on to lay out 7 specific habits, right?
Mm.
We won't get into all of them today, but he says, habit 3, put first things first. That's where the rubber meets the road. Like taking all this stuff about values and paradigms and actually doing something with it.
For sure. And it all connects back to those first habits, right? You can't prioritize if you don't know what matters. Habit 3 is about aligning your actions with your values, and that means getting smart about your time and energy.
Which is where he brings in that time management matrix.
Yeah.
Right? So simple, but brilliant.
Exactly. 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent and important, deadlines, fires to put out, stuff you got to deal with now. Quadrant 2, important but not urgent, relationship stuff, planning, taking care of yourself, things we push aside but matter for the long haul. Then there's quadrant 3, urgent but not important distractions, someone else's last minute thing, you know the drill. And then quadrant 5, neither urgent nor important, just time wasters.
And the goal is to live in quadrant 2 as much as possible, right? That's where the good stuff is.
Exactly. Purpose, intentionality, all that. But here's the thing. Most of us get sucked into quadrant 1, always reacting, and we neglect quadrant done. Like we're on a hamster wheel. You ever feel like that?
All the time. So easy to get lost in the day-to-day and forget the bigger picture.
And that's why Covey's all about proactivity. Choosing how you spend your time, planning your week, knowing your goals, and then actually scheduling the things that'll get you there.
Taking control of your calendar, not the other way around. But what about spontaneity? Won't this make you too rigid? Like, what about those random opportunities that pop up?
Totally. It's not about being a robot. It's about having a framework so you can make conscious choices. Something more important comes up. You adjust.
So flexibility built in. This reminds me of the PPC balance, taking care of your goose. That's definitely quadrant 2, right?
Absolutely. Your well-being, that's your production capability. It's what lets you be effective everywhere. Neglect your health, your relationships, your need to recharge, and you're messing with your most valuable asset. Covey would say you got to sharpen the saw, and that takes us to habit 7.
I love that analogy, taking time to invest in yourself so you can do your best work.
Exactly. And it's everything. Physical sleep, good food, movement. Mental challenge yourself. Keep learning. Spiritual connect with something bigger than yourself, whatever works for you. And social emotional, your relationships, giving back.
That holistic approach, honoring all parts of you.
Yes. And here's what's wild. Covey says these 4 things, physical, spiritual, mental, social, emotional, they're all connected. Invest in one, the others get stronger. It's an upward spiral of growth.
Love that. And it makes me think all these habits are connected too. It's not about mastering one at a time. They build on each other.
Exactly. It's about realizing that real change, the lasting kind you want, isn't some quick fix. It's a whole new way of approaching life, an inside-out approach.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about this inside-out thing. What does that look like in real life?
It's realizing that real change starts with you. Your paradigms, your character, your choices. Instead of trying to change the world, you focus on what you can control. Your thoughts, your responses, your actions.
To taking ownership of your life, your happiness, everything.
Yes. Realizing you have way more power than you think. You can't control everything that happens, but you control how you react. And from that place, that's where you build better relationships, have more success, make a difference.
It's like that foundation for what he calls the public victory habits, 4, 5, and 6, where you take those principles and use them with other people.
Totally. And Covey's clear. Private victory comes before public victory. You can't be good in your relationships if you haven't figured out yourself first.
So all this, the proactivity, knowing your values, managing yourself, well-being, it's not just self-improvement, it's the groundwork for stronger relationships too.
Absolutely. Think about it. If you're not sure of yourself, your needs, your boundaries, it's easy to fall into those relationship traps. Being codependent, needy, trying to change people. It's building a house on sand, it won't last.
Powerful analogy. So how does this play out in those public victory habits? How do you approach people from this place of inner strength?
That's where habit 4 comes in. Think win-win. It's about ditching that scarcity mindset, that idea there's not enough to go around. Instead, you go for abundance where everyone benefits.
Going from me versus you to we're in this together sounds a lot less stressful.
Right. And a win-win isn't always possible. But approaching things that way makes a huge difference. You look for creative solutions, not just trying to win every interaction.
Which makes me think of habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. If you want those win-win solutions, you got to really listen.
Right, absolutely. That's where he talks about empathic listening, not just hearing the words, but getting their perspective, their feelings, everything.
Putting yourself in their shoes, really seeing it from their side.
Exactly. And it's so rare, right? We're all so quick to jump in with our own opinions before we understand where they're coming from.
Oh, for sure. It's like we're just waiting our turn to talk.
Yep. And it's harder when someone's different from us, but that's when empathic listening matters most.
Because that's where misunderstandings and arguments come from. So how do we get better at this? It's got to be more than just listening.
Right. It takes effort. You have to quiet your own thoughts, let go of judgments, and really tune in to what they're saying and how they feel.
Being present in the moment without your own stuff getting in the way.
Yes. And when you feel heard, it creates this connection. Trust, communication, it's the foundation for understanding.
Which brings us to habit 6. Synergize. That's where it gets exciting.
Totally. This is interdependence in action. Synergy, it's creative cooperation. The whole is greater than the parts. You bring together different views, different talents, and create something amazing.
Like 2 heads are better than 1. But it's not just about more heads. It's about different heads, right? Different perspectives and strengths.
You got it. And that takes trust and openness. No synergy if people are afraid to speak up, disagree, share their thing.
You need that space where everyone feels valued and can contribute.
Exactly. That's why those earlier habits are key. You need that personal integrity, proactivity, win-win thinking, and good communication to have real synergy.
This is inspiring and all, but I bet it's not always easy. What about people who are stuck in their ways? How do you deal with that?
You're right. It's not always a walk in the park. You can't force synergy. It's got to be genuine. But even when you don't get this big breakthrough, the process itself is valuable.
So you stay open to it, even if it doesn't always work out perfectly.
Yes. Sometimes the magic is in the journey, that deeper understanding that comes from working through differences together.
This is all great, but it's easy to get caught up in the excitement and then lose steam when it comes to actually doing it. How do you make these habits stick? How do you live this stuff every day?
Right.
It's like they say, right? Knowledge without action is like having a sports car and leaving it in the garage. What's the point?
Totally. And that's where Covey's thing about habits is so important. It's not enough to just get it in your head, You got to live it. Make it part of your routine, how you talk to people, everything. Turn knowledge into action, action into habit.
Which takes us right back to habit 7. Sharpen the saw. Committing to always getting better. Renewing yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, socially. Making time to invest in you so you can be your best self everywhere.
And remember, those areas, they all affect each other. You work on one, the others benefit. That upward spiral we talked about.
It's like investing, but in yourself. The more you put in, the more you get back. But let's be real, this takes work. You don't just wake up one day and bam, you're a Covey master.
You got that right. It's a journey, not a sprint. And like any good journey, there's going to be bumps along the way. But the good news is, you don't got to do it all at once. Start small. Pick one habit, the one that speaks to you most right now, and really own it.
Yeah, build that momentum. Don't try to change everything overnight.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself. Celebrate the small wins. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Some days you'll slip up, go back to old ways. It happens. Just notice it, learn from it, and get back on track.
It's about having your own back, We're all a work in progress.
For sure. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are tons of resources out there to help you. Books, podcasts, groups, people on the same path as you.
We've covered a ton in this deep dive into Covey's 7 habits. Paradigms, proactivity, putting those important things first, the power of synergy, so much good stuff. But now it's your turn. Think about what really clicked with you. What part of your life needs a little sharpening? What's one tiny step you can take today to move towards the life you want?
Remember, even the smallest step, if you do it consistently, can lead to big changes down the line. Embrace the journey, those upward spirals of growth. you have the power to create a life you love.
So good. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next episode.